Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The idea on leveraging technology for trade and logistics and essentially for promoting investment into the country and facilitating domestic trade, the landscape is changing very fast and there's no longer a single national tariff. Country is into many trade agreements with other countries and there are layers of tariff and hence the layers of the policy. There's no longer made in one country situation because of unbundling, because of the ICT. Things are flowing from one value chain component to other value chain component and the situation is very complex. E-commerce has added another layer of complexity because the things are flowing across borders and somehow the government have to keep track of the investment flows and the money flows. So the security dimension, strategic trade control dimensions, and e-commerce dimensions are far more important now. The single national tariffs, which used to be the situation 30 years back. So the challenge is in this complex landscape, if I can't find my information within 2 to 3 minutes, the soft-boiled egg rule, I really can't make decisions. I hop on to some other information point. And if the information is not readily available to me or not flowing to me timely and I have to make information request, I can't make timely decisions. And if I am just doing in the government meeting on status sharing, those meetings really are an indicator that the system on the information is poor. It's all about risk analysis, and we know the risk analysis actually is about a relationship between the entities, the organizations, and which sectors and commodities they are working with, how the patterns are changing over time, who is in that cluster outlier. Now, this is not humanly possible to do that. Constraint on the government side is that demand is increasing, but their capacity, their machines, and their men, they are almost the same. And for analogy, we can understand that its teacher to student ratio is tremendously increasing. And the fraud typologies accordingly are tremendously increasing. In cyber crimes particularly, our all assumptions have gone wrong and we are not able to really cope with it, and law enforcement agencies have to keep pace with it. Again, they need a knowledge repository where all of many things, tools they have. Now the opportunity in the today's technology in last 10-15 years of development in AI, ML, and neuro-linguistic programming and other areas is that now we know that that information pool can be tapped from sources within the country, international sources, regional resources, and a lot of international agencies and organizations which are working in particular sectors. All those information can be scrapped, they can be tapped, and the relevant information can be sifted out from all that heterogeneous information. Look at, for example, this is one country, Malaysia. How many different actors are trying to put their role into the trade flows? More than 90 agencies. So, and internationally, we know that there are lots of useful information synthesized is coming on the countries, on fraud topologies, on different drug reports, all that, which can be captured systematically, can be analyzed, and can be then disseminated to the relevant people. So on the face of it, it's very complex, but it's on the other hand with the technology, it's very easy to sift that information, configure it, use it for control and security, send it to the user according to their needs. They can fix their alerts. We can have lots many channels. We can match the profile of the user, of the agency, of the investor, and give him the relevant information. And they can make their queries and elicit the relevant information from all this complex regime, which on the face of it, humanly is not possible. The features would be: can we disseminate this information? If there is some change somewhere, ASEAN trade has increased by N%, so somebody needs to know. There are changes in law and policy. There are changes in HS versions. We need to find out the impact, how I get impacted in my investments, and how can we can refine the behaviors of the system from the users' feedbacks, their queries, etc. And it's all very much possible. So that can be a self-servicing portal where most of the time I don't need, I just reach to the relevant service provider, and I can even formulate the service request automatically through the system, just tapping the technology. And I can also know what I am ignorant of, what the other side knows, my competitors know, but I am not aware of. The strategy, the change, the knowledge management is fast changing into ignorance. The things that I need to know, my competitor knows, but I don't know. But all this should be visible to me in a very connected form, in a very visible form. If I put a query, I should be able to see where, who are the stakeholders, and where are the service provider, what can I tap, and what is the most significant thing for me to know, and can I see the chronology of the events happening on that particular thing which I am interested in. And from the government perspective, they can even predict their political risks and all that, and make the timely changes in the policies. Now, from idea coming into the reality, information sources we already have. We know the government websites. They are in the silos, but they are talking almost everything that investor needs to know, but it is into the packets. We can bookmark them. We can tap the social media. We can make the net crawlers. We can take the data from the Google Maps. They show you all, even the street level infrastructure, organizations, everything. We know the strategy and the plan of the country, and at the international level, at the UN and the WTO and the WCO level, we have the planning data and strategy and vision documents lying on the government websites. We have their M&E reports. We have their project reports, planning reports, past 2-3 years data, trade patterns, all is there. And most of them is just available and has to be crawled, and we can synthesize them. Approach is classify that and find out the relevant parameters from those data, the people, organizations, sectors, commodities, services, processes, or locations and time, and even the financial data like expenditure and revenues. Put that data, make their correlations, and then we can benchmark in which sector is getting how much or needs how much, and there's no manual weaving required. The benefits are we can augment the human expertise with the machine synthesized institutional memory. From that heterogeneous environment, we can tap the entire picture, and we can make a very powerful dependency analysis. If I want to make a decision of an investment or a policy change, it can give me a full first round of information. Who is likely to get impacted, must be talked to, must be informed, must be consulted, and what else are the factors that I must be watchful of as human decision maker. The views that we can give is summarized, synthesized views of the things. According to my query, I can have the chronological view. I can see the impact on the key events. I can see even the data gaps. Okay, the last information that system could tap from anywhere is 2018. So I need to figure out what are the. For instance, ideally, how it should look like is I log into the system. It's an open, but I am a member. Just a very simple, my email and which sector I'm interested in. And I say I wish to set up a computer assembly facility in Saudi. The system should take me quickly to Saudi and show me that these are the zones you might be interested in, and these are the kind of computer facilities and stakeholders, and your industry, your hauliers, custodian, relevant service providers, consultants you might like to talk with are here. And if you're an investor, you're further interested in, it can figure out from the setup means he is an investor. Where is how do you acquire land, facilities, utilities, permit, taxation, payments? This is all automatically tappable from that knowledge. And then it can show me the sectoral view, how is that sector operating in that country, where do I make my fit. It can show me the commodity view, it can show me the entities even. I can tap and go into their relevant websites, and it can show me actually the 360-degree profiles of the sectors, sizes, the zones, which zone is really particularly specialized on that, which mode I have to use for sending my goods, where are the airports, where are the railway networks, what services different people are providing over there, who are the stakeholders, what would be my market. I can see the policy and procedures over there. I can see even the performance, how much time it takes from point A to point B, or from the custom clearance perspective. And if I am seeing it from the government perspective, I can also see how can I analyze my risks, and how I can make a strategy for informed compliance. Who needs to be informed what for what kind of a change? The dashboards have to be very user specific. For example, if we are talking of the investment space, our commercial missions abroad are the major people who are making a lot of effort in connecting those people from the outside market to my country. So they should be able to use it. They should be able to customize for them. Agency user for their agency specific dashboards, and the user category specific. I'm an investor, or I'm a trader, or I'm a custodian, or a haulier. So a zone specific too, but I can have a connected view as well as a timeline view on my queries that I'm interested in. And behind that, that knowledge synthesis is working. That interfaced sources, those commercial missions inputs, those bookmarked sites, and those internet open data, GIS data, maps, all of those are working on the background as we have already discussed. And the approach will be synthesize that, nudge to the relevant people, timely, benchmark this information, optimize it, give give a link to where the system is getting bottlenecks or where its performance is comparatively or relatively lower than the other processes, and then give a prognostic as the system learns. But most important is the learning loop, and there will be a lot of utilities to make it happen. For example, the utilities like HS Recommender, which is looking at the commodity but trying to arrive at, and that can be done very effectively through an HS Recommender, which taps the HSWC commodity database, the nomenclature, and the previous invoices data, and it can have the knowledge extraction data, which can tap find out the person's names. It can have the investment recommender, like which trade and policy I need to tap, and it exists, the taxation holidays and all that. It can have a TRS engine based on the WCU methodology for performance measurement and all that. It can nudge me for pre-arrival processing. It can even facilitate me to keep track of my flow of goods from a place A to warehouse, or even for the next service which I need to perform, that's a GD filing, that's a permit request, we can do a robotic process management from my documents to transforming them automatically into the GD in goods declaration, in which form it's next required. So, but the most important thing in this is the double learning loop, which is inherently built into the system, and it actually is connect to compete, but it's a proactive communication platform, and it builds the capacity of that person, whosoever is interacting at the user level to the policy making or decision level. And that's possible. This is the landscape, how it looks like, where we overall the benefit is the transparency and efficiency and quality of decision making at every level will significantly increase. This will lead to improved institution credibility with citizen, business, and investor. And most important component is attracting the investor. Okay? Everything is transparent, and you can connect to anybody on the go, and rather you can receive nudges on your requirements if you become a member of the community. But it's a kind of an ongoing journey. We have to keep balancing the resources, and system has to keep measuring those capacities, demands versus the flows, and a review cycle will becoming, which will kind of be going to relevant policymakers. So this is the overall regime. The key word is optimize, and we can start from anywhere. It's very easy because dependency is least. Most of those information is already available, public data. Some of the information from the customs flowing information or the trade information, that can also be tapped, and the quota information and all that. Swiss knife approach, have the entire picture in mind, make the first thing ready with the big impact. That can be an HS Recommender, that can be anything, and good luck.